So hello guys, and welcome to today's sessions of Geeks of Thursday. Yeah, so that's Let the Commit Speak is our tagline. And what is Geeks of Thursday? Maybe for those who are joining us for the first time, it's a community for developers to learn, engage, and share knowledge on any platform. Maybe we have web, front-end and back-end, Android, and also other topics that relate to developer productivity and also tools. Yeah, so, and also in case like you have like a topic that you feel like we should cover in the upcoming sessions, always feel free to give us a suggestion. We have a website, which is geekstalkthursday.co.ke, which is a blog where you can maybe subscribe as a writer or maybe as a reader, whichever that you like. So Geeks of Thursday is made with love from Upslap KE. Yes, so that is all about Geeks Talk. So what we do every Thursday, we have intro to development talks, we have code labs, we have fireside chats, talks about productivity. We also have product review and launching. So about product reviews, maybe in case you have like a website or an app, or maybe a GitHub code in GitHub, you want maybe guys to review and give you feedback on where to improve, we can always do such sessions. And we also encourage guys to contribute to open source. As a matter of fact, we have like a GitHub organization, Geeks of Thursday. You can look into it. So we also have like other activities we always feel like mentioning. Maybe we have Fun Friday by Podi. We have a session tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. We also have the blog, as I said. We also have Android 254 Open Bar, which is tomorrow also 7:30 p.m. to 11, which is just a place where guys get to talk on Telegram, any discussion, etc. We also have guests being brought in these sessions to maybe share their experiences across maybe their developer period or their journey as a developers. We also have Atlassian community events every month, so feel free to maybe jump in them once they are live. And we also have the Atlassian community open bar, similar to Android 254 open bar, but happens every Sunday, 8 p.m. Yes, you can find us on YouTube. So every session, we always upload it on YouTube. So guys, follow us, maybe subscribe on YouTube, maybe to get future sessions and all that. GitHub is Geeks Talk, and we also have a Slack channel, though it's not that active, but we have one, and that is the URL. So, and today, I am going to be the moderator, Haron Ongereka, and the developer at AppsLab. So I'll let Abel Masila introduce himself, who is going to be the speaker today.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Abel Masila. I'm a software developer, software engineer at Andela. I have specialized on front-end web development, despite the fact that I'm a full-stack JavaScript developer, but that's a story for another day. So I think that's all there is to me as pertains to this talk.
Okay, thank you, Abel. So, and yes, it's Abel's time now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yes, so I'll share my screen. Everybody should be on mute unless you want to say something to anybody. So let me share my screen. I hope you can all see this. I think in Zoom we have some emojis you can tap to do a thumbs up or something like that. But hopefully everybody can see this.
Yeah, we can see.
All right. So today we are going to talk about writing front-end tests. And for the past few years, I've been working with React.js. And today we are going to talk about testing front-end apps written in React and some written in Vue, because I've seen that most developers have moved from Angular to writing application in Vue and React. So this is what we are going to cover today: an intro to testing, what is testing, why do you need testing, the types of testing we have around here, and then we'll cover what to test in your application, I'll give a demo on coverage of a React application I've written and a Vue one. We also see what is smoking for an API, because you don't want your tests to be hitting your live APIs, because they can be slow, they can be down, they can be unresponsive, and your test will be failing. And necessarily that doesn't mean that your application is broken. It's just that the endpoint is not up. So you need to do server-side testing for your backends to make a complete test suite. So we'll also see a demo on mocking, and then we see what is next and have a Q&A session for that matter. So this is introduction. And then because our test case is mostly based on React, because both Vue and React utilize the same test runner, which is Jest. And yeah, so basically the output is all more or less the same. But then, so most people know that testing is important. Most people don't actually test their applications. You rather click on the link and see if it's working, submit a form and see if it's working manually. But that is not usually a more productive way of doing a test, because you may not cover everything the user may experience while they're using your application. So we have a couple of reasons of why testing is important. You may just break your application without knowing. For instance, the other day I was working on an application and then I did put one of my React hooks inside a conditional statement. And as you all know, if you have been working with React hooks, that is against the rules of using hooks. It will be an infinite loop. So if I had written a test for that, I would have catched that. So the application on production ended up breaking. Lucky enough, we have not launched it to the clients, so we have beta clients testing. So we are just lucky that it did not go to production with such code. So it's good to test your code. And manual testing of application is cumbersome. You imagine a big application like Facebook, clicking every link, submitting every form to see whether it works. It's cumbersome to do that. And then in most cases, tests act as a documentation to your application. So good test can show a new developer or what is happening in this segment of the application. And then you can get a job as a Q&A engineer. So at Andela, we have Q&A engineers who specifically do testing. And most of the cases, these are end-to-end tests, because end-to-end tests are more verbose. They are more verbose, so that means you get to cover almost every aspect of your application. So when it comes to React, we have different ways for people to create their application in the React ecosystem, and so is in Vue. So we have a boilerplate React tool called Code Create React App. And when you create your application with Code Create React App, your application will come with test suite already pre-configured, and this is the same for Vue CLI. So people who do Vue CLI also comes with a test config. So all you need to add is to add a plugin for Jest, and I'll show you how to do that. So for the most part of the application, if you create it with the React app, you will get a test suite already configured for you. All you have to do is write test and write your applications. So the sample application which will be testing for the React side is this one. I share a link in the chat, and then I also let Aaron share the link to everybody at the end of the session. I don't know. Yeah, so I have chat. I can paste that on the chat, and everybody who's not on the call and is interested, Aaron will share that link. I'll push the Vue one after the session, so you can also check it out. So these are simple React application. So we have the components, basically buttons. Let's start with the package.json. Most of the things here comes from Create React App, and apart from Normalize.js, which is a CSS library I use, it's more like Bootstrap, and Styled Component, which is another styling tool we use in React to basically write modularized CSS. So it's good to write good CSS, and And people don't know CSS. CSS, I have seen people hacking websites using CSS. They have been adding opacity to 0, and then they want to be paid. So you can even hack with CSS. CSS is powerful. So we use style components in most cases. Most big applications use style component. Some use SAS. So depends with your preference. But our interest is on testing. So when you create a React app using Create React app, you get these two libraries for testing. So React has taken testing library, which is called React testing library, as their de facto testing tool for tests. But that doesn't mean that it's limited to that scenario. I'll give a justification as to why they have chosen it and why they did not choose Enzyme, because Enzyme is also a good testing library for the front end, but we'll discuss that as we get on to the talk. So the main thing which you need to know that is if you are using Create React application, it will come pre-configured with test. The test suite is this one, and you have the script which is npm test or yarn test. So if we can go back to the presentation, so we can discuss what to test, and I'll give a scenario. So when you open the Facebook application, there are so many things happening in that application. We have a live chat feed. We have an inbox. We have comments in there. So what you want to test is what the user is actually going to be doing in your application. It has got nothing to do with your state. Actually, writing tests has got nothing to do with the state of the application. You can use props for that case, but you want to test the behavior of the application. So a long time ago, when people were getting into testing in React, we used to use Enzyme. And Enzyme is a very good tool. It's one of the old tools for testing, if I can get it. So this you can check it out, Enzyme.js, just search Enzyme.js. Enzyme.js is a very good testing library, but it's heavy. It's like Angular. It's good for frontend, but it has got so many things. Some of them you may not need. So we used to use Enzyme, and Enzyme is not based on just React. You can use it for other libraries, but you just added Enzyme and an adapter for the specific React version we are using. So after that, then you just continue testing and testing, writing your snapshot test and here and there. But then things have changed, and people have realized that we don't need all what Enzyme has already implemented. So we can check out the different types of tests. These ones still can apply. Some of them apply to the backend developers in the call. So we have 4 types of tests. The main one, we have end-to-end test, we have integration testing test, we have unit test, and we have static test. So let me put this into context. End-to-end test is like having something clicking on your application and verifying that if you click on the login button with username, admin, and password admin, it logs you in and takes you to the landing page. So it's like an interactive way of testing your application with a test runner actually clicking your application based on your tests. Integration test, on the other end, they just try to see if different parts of your application, different entities of the application work together to bring out the feature which you want to give to a client. For instance, an integration test would be, you would want to see if a user typing on an input and clicking a button actually shows a loading status and also shows the result after clicking on the button. So you are testing whether the input typing and changing of the state works and the on-click event of the button, if they work together and give the results. On the other hand, unit tests, they just cover a specific aspect of your code of your application. For instance, just test the inputs, if they are validated, if they have the same color, if they have this good CSS classes and so forth, just the small units of the application. Static test, on the other hand, these ones are quite new because they try to catch typos, errors within your code. And a very good explanation of static coding is, if you have used Prettier in your code. Prettier, ESLint, all these linting tools, they are also part of testing. They help you not to do bad things to your application. For instance, you can instantiate, you can create a function and never use it. It's just a lot of code in the browser which is not being used. So they will tell you that that chunk of code has not been used. It's good to do static. It's good to do static testing to your applications. So in React, we have you can use ESLint for React and Vue and Angular. You can also use Prettier. Prettier can be applied to any application. So we can take a demo of the application. I have it running. So this application, I'll show you the code. The code is here in my machine. So we have a button, just a normal button, which is coming from style component. Yeah, we have style a button with normal CSS stuff. We have a container. So a container is more or less what people use in Bootstrap as class container. We have a header, the nav bar, and we have pages. So pages, we have the home page, which is basically this page here. And then we have the form. This is the form here is a form here. And then the rest are styles. So this application that uses the Reddit API to see the top post for specific topics. For instance, we want to see what is the top, what is the number of top posts for JavaScript. So we can just type in JavaScript here, JavaScript, and then I can search. So it's loading and the output is, the number of top posts is 19. We can also do Vue.js and see the number of top posts, they are 20. So that is a simple application. We have a couple of links, how it works and about. I'm using React Router for this. So it's basically straightforward. So the application is very small. I want to be able to write tests for this application. And because I use Create React app, we are going to be using the React testing tool. So the React testing library. So I think we'll dive into the code. Let me collapse all these items here. So the simplest way of writing tests is you can create your file here. So let me see if I can just write add new file. I can say, let's say I want to test the home page. I can say home.test.js. That one will be a test file. Another way is you can just say home.spec.js. That's also a test file. So just will evaluate .spec.js, .test.js as test files, and it will always run the test in those files. So for our case, our application lies in the app file. So what we'll do is we are going to basically write our test here in app.test.js. So this is the file which we are interested on. And as you can see, I've imported a couple of items. So I've printed React because we need React to do things to do with React. I've also imported screen and render. I'll show you what this does. Memory router from React Router DOM. So what memory router is, as we all know in React, the router, people type in the address bar, or the browser will automatically show the history of the route in the address bar. But when you are testing, there is no browser. Tests are run on the CLI by a node, by the node runtime. So there is no browser. So there is no way of typing into the address bar and getting the URL. So what memory router is, it gets you the route history, but does not write to the address bar of the browser, because the test is not running on the browser. It's running on the CLI. So that is why we need this. And then this one is for mocking. It's called Jest, because we're using Jest. React testing library is using Jest in the hoods. And so if you want to do mocks, you can just install this and then you'll get it. User event is to actually do events, to actually emit events on click, on change, type, all those things. And this is our application. Our application is here. So these are our entire application. It's just got routes and stuff and stuff and stuff. So we have the header component, we have the routes here. And so for the default route is home, which is loading the home component here, the home page. So we have imported that. So if we come back to the application, we would want to see whether, for instance, whether when you click on this link, it takes you to to this page, and the text in that page is how it works. That means the link works. One more thing we can test is whether I can type on this input, and after typing on input, I can press on the button and I can see the loading status because I'm waiting for the API to respond. I need to be able to see that it's loading, and then I need to be able to see the results. That is a complete test suite for this page. Testing this component, the form, testing the links, and testing the loading status and the output after the API has responded. So we can start with the smallest of them, testing whether this link will work, whether clicking on this link actually works. That means the links point to the right route. So a test suite in React, you can just type in test and then the name of the test. So test links in header, and then it's a callback. So and then you can just do your test here. But as your tests grow, you realize that you need to group them. You are testing the header. For instance, we'll be testing the header. We'll be testing the form. So those are two chunks of tests we are performing on the same page. So to group those tests, the testing libraries have come up with a way of grouping these using the describe keyword. So you can type in the name of your test. So we are testing the header component. So for instance, we test the header component and the form, and then this also is testing a callback. So this one is an arrow function. So people who are using ES5 code can just write function, and then this one and that is the same. So arrow functions ES6 and beyond. So you check that out. So these are our test group for testing the header. So we can write on our first test. We want to see whether the links take us to for instance, the how it works link takes us to that page. So we can write a description here. How it works link. We can just leave it at that, and then we can write our test. So as you can, I know you can all read this. Like it reads like test how it works link. Basically, it's like how you'd say it in verbally. So the first thing which we need to do is to actually see if this link exists. But this header here does not exist on its own. The header exists in the application. So if I go to the application here, this is where we have the header. So we need to render this app component so that we can get to the header component and all these other components. So how do we do this? So the first thing we need to do is to render the application. So render comes from the React testing library. It helps you create the React DOM for that specific test. So our DOM, we only need the app component. So I just render. And then because we are using a router here in the app component, we are using a router here, this one here. We need to also to have a route for that case. So the router which we're going to use is called the memory router because we are not using an actual browser. And then we can just pass in our app here, like that. So we have rendered the application. To see whether the application has been rendered, we can use a tool which comes from React testing library called debug. So no, actually it will come from the screen. So we can do this. We can just say screen dot debug. So if I run this test, how do you run the test? So we have one test. We want to see what is the output of rendering this application. Essentially, it should render our application, the entire code for application. So if I go to the package.json, I have a script for testing, and I'm a fan of yarn. You can use npm. So I just type yarn test. So let me expand this so that you can see the test. So now it's running the test in app.test.js. So this is the output. This is actually the code for our application. So we have the header, we have the logo, we have a navigation bar, which has got 2 links, how it works, and another one called about. After that, we have the main application, which has got an header one saying, find the top post in Reddit. And then we have a form with a label, and the label contains an input. And then we have a button. Essentially, that is all we have in this code. So we can now try to access items from the DOM. And how do we access items from the DOM? The DOM in React DOM is document object model, which is actually the representation of your code, which is going to be rendered in the browser. So since we already know what this is, we can try to get the link. So we can instantiate a variable called a link, and then we can use a screen object, because we already know the screen has got so many things. Screen dot we can get by role. I'll explain why this works. So in React testing tool, we have 3 ways of accessing items in the DOM. And one of the items, let me check that. One of the ways is using by get by. So get by can be get by text, get by ID. Another way is find by, and another way is query by. So I'll explain what the difference is. So if we are using get by will find the item in the DOM, but get by is synchronous. That means it's not supposed to wait for anything to come. It's not supposed to wait for that element to be rendered. It expects that the item is already in the DOM. So for instance, you cannot expect the results to be rendered in the UI. These results here, we don't have results here. But when we search it, we already get the results. So we cannot use get by, because this item is not already rendered in the browser until we get the results. So get by is just, you can use get by to find a link, because the link will always be there. And then the other one is find by. So find by is now asynchronous. That means you can add a 5 minutes delay and wait for the UI to render that item, and then you can get it. And the last one is query by. Let me write this, query by. This one now is, this one is synchronous, sync. This one is async with wait. This one is async, and it has got no wait. This means that when you try to access an item which is not in the DOM, this one will fail. This one will basically fail if the item is not there. But this one will not fail. It will return an null. Basically, it did not find anything, so it won't fail. But this one will fail. So these are the different ways of accessing items in DOM. But because we already know that the header component will always be there, we can find by role. Finding by role brings us to another aspect of web development, which is called ARIA. ARIA, anybody who knows what ARIA is? ARIA. ARIA is a simple way of making your web application accessible to different people. For instance, a button has got a role, which is a role button. So if you want your application to be used by somebody who is blind, you can use the button role to read the text inside that button. So for instance, in this application, our application, if we were to demo this application to people who cannot see, we can use ARIA. ARIA is Accessible Rich Web Applications. It's a standard. It has been there for a long time. You can check it out here. Let me share this on the chat. You can always check it out there. You can always check that out there. See what ARIA is. So it gives you different roles for the different items. So for instance, we have a role button, so you can read the text there. So we are going to access our header by role, but then we don't need the header, we need the link. So we can find by role. So how do you do that? Finding by role, the role of a link is actually a link. is actually a link. So we can say the role is link. And because we have so many links, we can go ahead and also define what text is in the link. We're going to use a regular expression. And if you can see here, we have this link which we want to see. So the link is this one here. We want to see if we can click on this, it takes us to how it works page. So we want to type in the text. So we can just say how it works. These are regular expressions. These are regular expressions in JS. So we can try to see what the content of this link is. We can just use debug and type in link. So we can see what we want to see whether we have found that link. So it's still running. Yeah, so we have found it. It's here. It's a link. So what do you want to do after finding the link? We want to click it. So that is where we are going to use this event, this use event object from React testing library. So we want to do this. We want to click on the link. So we can say user event. We want to .click. We want to click this link. And after clicking on the link, what should happen? When you click on this link, we will be on this page, and we expect that this is a heading. If I inspect this text, this is a heading. It's a heading one. So we want to see that if we can find a heading there, the heading should have this text. So we have clicked on the link. So this is where we now start to making our assertion. Assertions is like given 1 + 1, the result should be 2. So the assertion of that is that every time you have 1 and you add it to 1, the result will always be 2. So we can use a keyword coming from test, which is called expect. What do we want to expect? We want to expect that when we do a screen find by role, we are going to find a heading. So we are finding an heading. We want to specifically say that the heading has got this text, how it works. So we can say the content will be how it works. And then we can do that. So this test should actually be complete and should run, because when you click on this link here, should be that. So as you can see, the test is passing. So this is our test suite. This test suite is called header, and our test is how it works links. So we have tested that. So at the end of the day, you can also test the about page, and you can do so much if you want to test this. I think we can test the next aspect. I can leave the other test for you to do. You can just test. We can test the about link, and I want to show you something why you need to do this. So here you will write code here. But you see, at this point, we also need to render this. We also need to render the app here for this suite to run. So what we can do to make this work is we can just define a function here, a normal function called setup, and the function returns what we had written before, just that part of the code. Why is this broken? Should work. So I can, if I want to render the application, instead of writing this code, I'll just call the function like that. And for your case here, when you'll be writing the application, you can render the application and continue with your test. So you can test this one. You can test how it works. This is a link. It's a normal link, and the text is about. So you can check it out. I think we can test the form here, see if the form works, and type on the form. So because this test suite is already over, we can describe another test suite. So we want to test the form. So that is the name of our test suite. And then inside this test suite, we want to test a couple of things. First, if we can find the input, and also if we can type into the input and click that button. So let's get on to it. So we can do test. We can do type in input, click button, and see results. So that is our test suite. It is quite huge. It has got so many things onto it. So we can first find the text input, and I'll from this point I can just paste in the code because I had already written a couple of snips for this. So we are finding the text input by label. So I'm finding I'm still using get by because it's already rendered. I'm not waiting for it to be rendered, it's already rendered. And then we are searching by label. So if I can inspect this, it's a label here, and the text inside that label is r/. So we are finding the input by that. So what do we want to do after this? We want to type in. So we want to type in something. So we can say user event.type. So we have another one. We have user event.click. Now we are using type. So where do you want to type? We want to type in text input. And what do you want to type? We want to type, let's say, Vue.js. So we have typed it. We already have it. So if I can render, I can render the screen here. If I can debug the screen here, it should show the input with Vue.js as the text instead of, initially it has got JavaScript. So it should show Vue.js as the text inside it. What is it? Unable to find label with text is okay. See, we already have a failing test. So let me see why this one is giving me this error. Screen get by label. Oh yeah, I've not rendered the application, so I need to call setup here just before this. So yeah, so that one should run. As we should all know that the art of programming is fixing bugs and writing more bugs. So yeah, so we have this. So as you can see, that the value of the input is Vue.js, but when I reload this application, the value is JavaScript. That means we have typed something. The value is Vue.js. So what do we need to do after this? We just need to click the button. So we can find the button. So let me get the code for finding the button because it's quite long. I'll just paste it in right here. So we have the button. So we're finding by role. The role of a button is a button, and the name on the button is search. So we already have that button there. So the next thing is just click on the button. So when you click on the button, two things should happen, and I want you to see them. Here, when I click on this button, it shows me it's loading, and then it shows me the posts. So that is what the user is actually going to see, and we need to test whether that works. So we can do one thing. We want to see whether we are seeing the loading text, which is loading. So we can make our first assertion that we expect to find text in the screen which says is loading to be in the document. The document means to be in the DOM. So that is our first assertion. When I click here, I need to see that. That is the first assertion. We can even test that whether this one is working. So that test should be running, hopefully. I'm still debugging, so let me remove the debug. This debug gives you a very, very dirty console. So I just remove the debug. And then the test is passing. That is the assertion that it is already showing a loading. And the next thing we need to see is that we need to expect the result. So when we type in, we have typed in Vue.js, we expect the result to be 20. So that's our next assumption, that the number of tuples should be, the text in the screen should be the number of top posts is 20. So let's make that assertion here. At this point, I need to explain why we are awaiting on this screen. So this text here, this text, the text number of posts comes after the API has responded. So we cannot just assume it will be there. So we need to wait for the API to respond. So you can either use that, you can either wait for that using a callback or a promise. So we'll use async await on this function, the test function here. We just use async await to make sure that it waits. That is what the code wants us to do. But then, as you can see, we have typed in 15, but the expected result is 20. So let's try to run this test now. Wow, I've opened the code for testing library. So if I save this code and wait for it, we know the number of posts should be 20, not 15. So the test should fail. Yeah, so it's failing. So it is, what is this? Unable to find that. It's not there. It's not there. So let me fix that by changing this to 20. And hopefully that should work. Yeah, it works, because when you type in Vue.js, the expected number of posts is 20. I think at that point we have tested the entirety of the application. So if I can go back to my slides, we have a couple of items remaining. Wow, I've closed my screen. Let me do that. At this point, we have done the demo, and then we want to, as you have seen, I am making a live request to the API, the Reddit API, and this is where we are calling the Reddit API in the application. At this point, so on search, when you search, this API we are hitting. So as you have seen, we are hitting the API directly. And this API can be down for some reason, but the application is not broken. The API is broken. And this can take so long to respond. So that brings us to the next topic of mocking. And as you have seen, that my tests are taking long because I'm waiting for the API to respond, which is not good. Your tests are running on your browser, or on your computer, not on your server. So it is pointless to wait for all that long. And the solution for this is, the solution for fixing that is using a mock. And how are we going to mock our API? We need to mock this. How do we mock this? So if I go to the application here, and let me inspect, and I go to the network tab, and I click on XHR. XHR stands for XML HTTP requests. These are API requests. So I just click on send. As you can see, this is the Reddit API I'm hitting, and this is the response I'm hitting. So mocking is the art of assuming that at all instances, your API will respond with this data. So I need to copy this data and put it somewhere, and expect that when I call the API, it will return this data. So how do we go about that? So the first thing I'll do is just copy this one here. I'll copy the result for Vue.js. Then I go back to my code. You need to create a directory in your source folder called __ mocks. So I already have a mock here for something I was testing. I create a new file. We'll call this Vue.js. .js. So these are mock for Vue.js. I just paste in that there, and that's all I need to do for that. It's JSON, it's broken JSON. Let me see if I've copied it well. I do select all, copy, and I'll paste it there. So hopefully that one will work. Yeah, that one should be fine. So should be fine. It's just normal JSON which is broken, and then it will fix itself. It's a long file. So after you've pasted your mock is just like your expected result. You need to install the just fetch mock. This is a library to help you mock. And after you have installed it, you need to actually enable mocks. enable mocks in this application. And how do you enable this? You just say fetch mock dot enable mocks. And at that point, your test should fail because you have not said what is the expected result of your mock. You have just enabled mocks and you have not given them what is the expectation of your mock. As you can see, the response body is not the same. So it's failing. So we need to import that. How do we import that? We can just import it, data from, where have we saved this? One step, where is it? It's in the mocks directory, and then it's called Vue.js. So we have the data here. So what do we need to do to make this work? So before we load the application, we just need to tell the mock the expected result is data. So I've just said, because fetch is exposed to us from fetch mock by default. So we want to just make this request once, and we want the result of the data to be stringified. So stringified results in JavaScript I cannot explain, but it's like stringified JSON. So we want it to be a valid JSON. So that is what this code is doing. As you have seen, it's not valid here, so we want to make it valid. And then our test should continue working now because the expectation is what we are setting. So the test should work. Wow, that's a lot of tests. What have I not done? Yeah, where is this coming from? Let me see. Oh, that's weird. 1 second, let me try to find out what's happening. Okay, let me clear this test first, and then let me run that test again. I think this one is broken. Oh yeah, I've saved it as .js instead of .json. That's a problem. Should be .json. Yeah, it's a JSON object. Wow, writing more bugs. Oh, I need I need to change this to, yeah, as already seen that it's already passing, so I can just save it. So it should just run. Yeah. So the test should run, and it's only taking less than 10 seconds. That's fine. Yeah, so the test is running. So what this library helps you is just to mock what your API will respond with. And that is how you do a normal test in your React application. And there's more to this. So I've just done integration testing using React testing library. We have, as we discussed earlier, you can also do integration testing in this list. We can also do integration testing in React. And how do you do this? So these are the next steps after you have learned how to do normal tests. You can try writing end-to-end tests using Cypress. And Cypress is an end-to-end test runner for your JavaScript applications, be it Vue, be it React. You can just use Cypress. And I want to show you what Cypress does. I have not configured it in my application, but I hope there's a demo here. Let me go to the documentation. So actually they have a demo here. So if I can click on this demo, hope there's no audio. Cypress is an open source test run. So I've just forwarded it a little bit. It's quite long. It's taking long. Internet sucks. Wase wazuku tunaumia. Yeah, so let me show you a screenshot of this. I think they have screenshots. I don't know. Wow. Yeah, so wase wazuku. So this is like a demo. So this one is the test runner is actively clicking on your links. So it will click on the no button or yes button. So it actually does that for you. So as you have seen, we have been running our test on the node runtime. This one will run your test on the browser. It will help you see what the client is actually interacting. And it will fail, it will succeed, and you will see all these tests. So if you want to venture into end-to-end testing, check out cypress.io. So let me share that link too. Cypress.io is a very nice library. We have used it in a couple of places. So I'll answer the question later on. I've seen a question there, so I'll answer that question. So that is how you do end-to-end testing. Just check out Cypress. It's easy to get started with. Just install it, install Cypress, and write your first test and so forth. So I want to show you how you can. I want to give a demo, not a demo, just a sample application of a Vue, of testing Vue. I will push this code to GitHub in a different branch. So let me open another project here. I've been testing. Actually, I'll admit it, I'm not a good Vue developer. I'm still learning Vue. I don't know. It's like I'm not faithful to myself. So,
but it's good. There was someone who was asking about Vue. Dennis Ketson.
Yeah, so this is your chance to write. These are small application Vue. So actually, let me run it fast for you to see. So wasewa Vue mnafanyanga yarn serve. So if you're using NPM, it's NPM serve. Nothing changes. I love yarn because yarn is fast. It's faster than NPM, and they have good linking for modules. I actually have a problem with one of my managers. They cannot run our front end because they are using NPM. We don't want to support NPM. The modules are so many. We cannot fix the broken. So these are simple Vue application. So let me show you how to do that. So what were mathematic? So 80 plus 1 is 81. So you click check answer, succeeds. You refresh. What were mathematic? 5 plus 18, 30. Okay, that is not working. So this is what this application does. It helps you learn mathematics. We'll advise it, we'll add calculus there, but don't worry. So the first step, this application has been bootstrapped using Vue CLI, as you can see, Vue CLI. The good thing with doing this with Vue CLI is that you don't stress to configure tests. The only thing which you need to do is you need to install these two libraries. One is a plugin and the other one is a test util. So the plugin is for Jest. So you can do another plugin for another library if we have another testing library. And this one is just the test utils. After you have done that, you will create a jest.config file, which just say that it uses the plugin for the Jest plugin for testing. And that's what you need to do. After that, Jest on its own, Jest is a test. Is a test library, and it's a test runner. So it has got their own ways of writing tests, and their specification is that you write your test in your main directory. You create a folder named __ tests, like I have done here, and then you can create your test. Before I showed you app.test.js, I'm using app.spec.js. If you add a test here, like index.test.js, this should still work. Nothing changes. But for the spec, I love mixing both of them just to confirm that they never break when new people start doing stuff. Then from the utility, you need to import mount. Mount is like what we are using for test library that is called render. So you just need to mount, then you import the application. So you just need to mount the application here. And then you can now start testing. For instance, you want to test if the Vue application rendered is an instance of Vue. So if you know Vue application are an instance of the Vue application. So you need to know that. So to be truthy is an assertion coming from Jest. It can be to be truthy, to be falsy, to be what, to be equal to be in the DOM. All these things are available in the Jest documentation. So if you can go to the Jest documentation, jest.io, Jest.io, you can see all the assertions you can make. So this is the jest.io is a UI, it's it's the web application, and you can go to the docs. So as you can see here, before I come to, you can use Jest for anything, React, TypeScript, Angular. So this is the best framework for testing, and that's why people love it. So you can you can come to check on they have mocks, they have matchers, so they are called matchers. So expect to be, we have to equal, to be false, not to be null, to be falsy, to be defined. You can test all these things about your code. So for instance, our case we want it to be truthy. So the to be truthy is a truthiness matcher. We have numbers to be greater than 4. You can, as you can see this one here, 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. You want the result to be more than 3. That is true. You want it to be more or greater than or equal to 3.5. That is false. Or that is true too. So you can make all these assertions from your code to match. If you want to match, it's like they are still using regular expressions here to match this one. So yeah, you should check out regular expressions, and people should learn regex. I know regex is hard, but you should also learn regex. So we want to see that. So we can describe another test to mount the application. Want to see if it is an instance of that. Actually, one of the things we have tested is that we have the app data. The app data for your Vue Vue application is usually a function. This one. So we want to see whether it's a function. That means the application is mounted well. You can see the test here. Wow. So the app.data to be a function. You see, we are using a truthness matcher here. You can see if this application is an instance of Vue. So you can do this. So the wrapper here is your application, and you can call .html to get the HTML of your application, which is what render for testing library in React was doing for us, giving us the HTML code. And so we are trying to find if the HTML code has got this text, what is the sum of the numbers? And that is here. What is the sum of the numbers? So we want to see if the HTML has got that text. The good thing is you are not finding by role or by ID or by anything. You just find if the text exists in the HTML page. Well, for instance, this is the same thing you would do if I opened the source for code, the source here, and type in. I will find it. I want to find app. So it's essentially what you are doing at this point here. HTML it contains. You can see, you can try to find if it has a button, and the button is only one. This button, we have 2 buttons. We have check answers and refresh. You can so if you can also see if it has a button. We have 2 buttons, so you can be precise. You can see if the button dot text is refresh. You can see if it renders the data correctly. So set data is a function which we use to give app data for testing. So this is how you do your data in your application. These are your methods. In testing, you set data. So you can now set the data which you want. So we are having x1, 5, x2, s10. And when we click on it, so next tick is how you click your button or you perform. So we can, I think they have so many methods. Then the answer should be 10. So 5 plus, so our actual thing is just an addition. So we want to see that if 5 plus 5 is 10. So this one will work. So let me run the tests here. I can say yarn test, and then we can see the tests are running, and we can try to make them fail. So it's running app.spec, which is this file I'm running. So these are duplicated, but all the tests are running, all of them. These are just warnings. So I can change the answer to be 8 and see if it works. So it should fail. If you want to run this on watch, just do -- watch. That means you are running the test and you're not stopping. Wow. Watch. I've done that twice. That means you not stop the test runner as this behavior like this. We can do 8 and test that's watch. It's not working. So let me just run that. So this one should fail. This test should fail because the expected answer is 10. So as you can see, this one is the test we are running. Let us test the arithmetic, and the actual thing is we want to test if 5 plus 5 plus 5 5 plus 5, I don't know why is this being this. Okay, 5 plus 5 should be 10, but then this one is returning 8, so the expectation is 10 and the output is 8. So we can fix this. I can just return it 10 and then it should continue working. And then we have the rest of the buttons. When you click on the refresh button, it should just continue working. So these are simple test suite for Vue. I want to push this code to GitHub right now. I had not pushed it. So I also wanted to show you guys a cool GitHub hack I found out today, and most people have not found out. So let me do this. So I open my GitHub. You can also check out my GitHub. I usually have nice projects there. You can check out new stuff. Oh, mnaijua. Au jamaa anajua huyo jamaa. So when you come to your GitHub and create a new repository, and name the repository as your GitHub name. My GitHub name is Abel-Masila. You'll get this thing. So that means if you create this repository the way and initialize a README file and write your information there, it will become your bio. So let me show you how mine looks. You can try out your own. I've added mine. So mine is Abel Masila. As you can see, my GitHub looks neat because I have this description. I've added it there. So you can do that for yourself. You don't need to create a website. Utalipia hosting. So let me let me create the repo for Vue as I check out your questions one-on-one. I can create that. Then what else do I need to do? I need to copy this. So the code will be there. So let me share the link. Bado wakajamaliza kupush internet ya Zuku. What? Yeah, it's pushed. So I'll share this to the chat. So let me check out your questions. Yeah, so Aaron, do you want to check out more questions? Do you want to take more questions verbally, or we can answer this first? These questions first.
I think in case there is someone who feels like they can also talk, they can also, as you answer, then the others can come.
Yeah, so the first question, will you talk about anything to do with Vue today? Yes, I've talked about something to do with Vue today. What if the results change? Instead of 20, you get 21. Can one test for dynamic results? Yes, you can, but I think that beats the rationale for doing testing. You don't want to test for the dynamic way of running your application, but the right way of running your application. For instance, if you know that clicking on the login button will always log you in, there's no way it will take you to the logout button. You don't need to test for the logout button case at that point. You need to test out for the login functionality, whether it works or not. So whether my email is Abel and your email is ken@gmail.com, the result will always be the same. That's why we are using a mock, because the results will always be the same. And that's why we have chosen to use the same result for that case. So if we want to make it dynamic, we may just have to live on by hitting the API directly, and it will slow your testing experience. What's your take on Selenium? Well, I've not used Selenium. I've seen people who do Java use Selenium. So I don't know. I feel like it's old, and we can. I think it's good. I have no comment on that, but I can check it out sometimes. But I see people who are using just Java doing that. So somebody has followed me on GitHub. So I think we can take questions verbally. Yeah. What to unmute?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go. Yeah, Collins.
Suppose maybe you have a backend, but yeah, I'm saying
yeah.
You've done testing front end. Suppose now you have backend. How do you combine the two tests, front end and backend?
I don't think you need to combine both of the tests because, for instance, let me give you a test scenario. So yeah. I am working on a web application, let's say facebook.com. It runs on React, right?
Yes.
And my tests are purely JavaScript. And my backend guy feels that they need to use Django REST framework. So they are going to use either PyTest or some other testing tool for that case to do their testing. So the only way you can combine this, the only way you can get experience of testing for both these cases is only run your tests when you're deploying your applications. So for instance, when I'm about to deploy facebook.com, I will run my tests. And let's say we do the deployments at the same time. So backend guy deploys and then I deploy. So if the backend guy's tests are failing, I don't need to deploy my changes until he gets done with fixing his backend problem. And then you will try to deploy again or test locally until you feel that the tests are fine. And then you will deploy them. So once I feel like they cannot be combined because they are two different things, but they can serve the purpose of making your application stable, regardless of JavaScript, Django, any of the case.
It's okay.
But then if you are using Node.js, Node.js, they have a testing library called Supertest. So in most cases, your Node application and your React application may be living in the same directory, but in subdirectories. So you can run both tests together because it's JavaScript. So you can run the test for your client application and run the test for your Node application. It also applies to the case where your backend and your front are still in the same folder, so you can still run. But in most cases, they are not. They are different repos. There are different things running on different people's machines. So you cannot always believe that they will be in the same directory. And the same, let's say, same level of your development.
It's okay, thank you. I get you.
Any other question?
At what point do you set up the mocks? Is it like when you have everything ready, or?
Yeah, so you only set up mocks when you are interacting with an external API. So that could be for your GraphQL endpoints. So let's say, for instance, you would set a mock, for instance, when you are, for people who are using Redux and Vuex, when you're expecting data from your store, for instance, that is one area you can just mock. The data may not be coming entirely from an API. It may be just application data. You can do a mock for that. Other way, other scenario you may need to do a mock is when the data is coming from an external tool. For instance, a graphical endpoint, a RESTful endpoint, a JSON file somewhere, or a flat file somewhere. So you only need to make a mock when the data is not internally a prop in your application. It's an external, so it's be sourced from an external place which can be reliable or not reliable. Your GraphQL endpoint can be failing because of one or two reasons. Your endpoint can be failing. Your flat file can be failing because of permissions, but your application is still fine. Your application is fine, but the other tool is not fine. So at that point, when you have that uncertainty, you can do the mock.
And will you keep, like, in case the JSON changes, will you keep like changing? Because I've seen you've copied like exact structure.
I've copied the exact structure because I was just asserting for one case. So assume that I'm testing for so many things in my test. So apart from me testing the number of posts, I'm also testing for the number of users. So I'll clearly define my JSON for the mock. My JSON right now is not clearly defined because I've just copied it from somewhere. But in that case, I'll create a clearly defined JSON file with the mocks I need. So the number of users to be 10, the number of comments to be 5, that clear definition, which can also come from the API from a different perspective. If you're using something like GraphQL, you can just copy the entire thing and paste it. So it will just work. Or you can copy your entire Redux store and populate it with data. So it depends with what you are testing for your case. It doesn't need to be my case. So yeah.
Got it.
So I wanted to show you one more thing from my slides before I can call it a day. I stopped sharing before I finish the presentation. So these are the final things. So we have done the mocks. So what is next? We have talked about Cypress. So I wanted to explain why I've not chosen Enzyme. Enzyme is React testing library replaces Enzyme. Enzyme is so huge, you don't need all that power. So if you need the entire power of testing your React application, go for Enzyme. So for Vue.js developers, we have this page here. I'll share this page. This page has got all you need to learn about unit testing, everything you need to know about that. So let me share this for Vue.js guys. So there you go, check that out. And then finally, if you have money in your account and you feel like you want to learn from the best, the React testing library is created by a guy called Kent C. He's known everywhere in the JavaScript ecosystem. This guy Kent C. He's out of React testing library. He also has got this course called Testing JavaScript. It's a nice course. He covers all the aspects of testing, all of them. And the course is very expensive, and it's not very expensive depending on what you want to learn. So if you have money, you have 34,000, you can pay for the entire suit. If you want to learn just a few items here, you can pay 6K. If you want to learn some few items, you can pay 14K. So if you have money, it's a very nice course. If you have internet, you can look for it on torrents. And if you get it, please share with us. Those who cannot download, those who cannot buy, we will sure be able to download. So ukipata hii course mahali kwa torrent tutumie. But this guy is quite nice. You should also check out his blogs. It's called Kent C. He's a good, apart from him being React, he's a good JavaScript developer. It's like it's like Dan Abramov, but not this one does not work for Facebook. He's good. So after all that, we can call it an end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abel, for the session. It was really awesome. At least I'm not much of a web developer or front-end developer, but at least most of these concepts cut across the issue of mocks and testing, unit testing, etc. So I hope everyone enjoyed the session. And
Thank
thank you very much, Abel. So I want to just share the WhatsApp link, maybe for guys who, in case someone wants to join our group. And also it's where we get to, you can suggest it's where you can suggest, like, in case you will need like topic like this, in case you need more of testing, more of like other topics, you can also give your suggestion there. As you can see, we have other do a live coding. It's not a joke, but you are very brave, man. So at times live coding can go wrong, but at least for you, you had everything working out. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who attended. See you next Thursday, same time, same place. Mm-hmm.